And now.
All right. Across the U.S., nearly everyone is affected by the disease of addiction. Fortunately, today we have places and programs to go to provide help with and support with various types of addiction. Whether it's alcohol addiction, drug addiction, gambling addiction, or any other addiction that takes individuals outside themselves, and the individual becomes obsessively and compulsively addicted and thinks that there is no hope. They may want to consider a 12-step recovery program. As a teenager, I had a life-changing experience. I was really caught up in the drug lifestyle and getting high on a regular basis. I thought that my only options were either to go to jail, someone would kill me, or if I could just take my own life. Fortunately, I was arrested on July 19th of 2000 and now realize that that was a blessing in disguise. Since then, I've been involved with the 12-step recovery program that has changed my life, and I have not used a drink or a drug in over 12 years. Today I will discuss the different types of addiction and the causes of addiction and provide a solution for people with any addiction problem through the 12-step program. A few different types of addictions are alcoholism, drug addiction, and gambling addiction, and food addiction. With alcoholism, an alcoholic is considered an individual who drinks excessively or binge drinks and consumes alcohol in excess that affects the individual's physical and mental well-being. With drug addiction, there's a broad range of different drugs that an individual can become physically and mentally addicted to. From marijuana to prescription pills to heroin and everything in between. The stereotype of an addict being someone that sticks needles in their arms, but the disease of addiction doesn't discriminate between race, age, sexual identity, creed, or religion, as noted in Narcotics Anonymous literature. The ultimate goal that the disease of addiction wants is for the individual to go to an institution, jail, or ultimately end up dead. With the food addiction, some people may think that how can people be addicted to food? But as drugs and alcohol, some people will act out obsessively and compulsively, eating or binge eating. Either way, this affects the individual physically and mentally. When someone has a gambling addiction, they may suffer from another source of addiction already. They may be depressed or have anxiety problems. When someone is obsessively gambling, it will affect the individual's emotions mentally and possibly send them the individual into a depression if they aren't already in a depression. After reviewing these different types of addiction, we'll examine the causes of addiction. Some people may believe that they are born with the disease of addiction, but as noted in Health Place website, is in the addictions community, an addiction gene has not been located, but addiction often runs in families, suggested a link between addiction and genetics. Another common factor that the different types of addictions have in common is that people tend to act obsessively and compulsively. You may have heard the phrase, I want what I want when I want it. This is usually how children act, but sometimes with an addict, that behavior is carried into their adolescence and adult lifestyles. When an individual acts obsessively and compulsively, they cannot get the thought of using out of their mind, and rather than letting the thought pass, that is when the individual will act compulsively and go out and seek what they want, what they have been obsessing on. Even though people with the disease of addiction may feel like there is no hope, there is no other option. There are ways to help with people with addiction, and I will explain the process of getting help with the 12-step recovery program and the importance of staying involved with the fellowship for long-term recovery. One option for someone that is addicted is to go to a treatment facility where they have counselors and a diverse staff that can help people with their addictive behaviors. Typically, when the individual goes to a treatment center, they are there for 28 days. However, there are some places that offer long-term treatment, and the individual can stay for 6 months to a year in the facility. The individual is unable to stay at the treatment center for any length of time. Some treatment centers offer an outpatient program. This is when an individual goes to the treatment center for a few times a week, for a few hours a week at a time, to meet with counselors in a group setting. I personally went through the outpatient program Boys Rehab in Annapolis, Maryland. Once the individual has completed the initial treatment, it is suggested for the person to attend a 12-step recovery program such as Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, Food Addicts Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, to continue their recovery. Once the individual has decided what self-help group they would prefer to go to, they would and be a part of, they all have similar objectives. They suggest to all the new members to abstain from using, whether it's alcohol, drugs, gambling, or binge eating, or to go to meetings on a regular basis. Once they have been attending meetings, they should get a sponsor, typically someone that has been involved in the groups for a while and they feel comfortable talking to and getting help from. Once the individual has their sponsor, they should begin to work the 12 steps and to begin learning how to incorporate spiritual principles in their lives. Another suggestion is for a new member to find a higher power that they believe in and can pray to on a regular basis. In addition to all the other suggestions, another key to staying clean in the process of recovery is to be a part of service. This keeps the recovery process going by giving back what was so freely given to the new member. There are a lot of different types of addictions, but some of them that I focused on today were alcohol addiction, drug addiction, food addiction, and gambling addiction. In addition, I described a few causes of addiction that play a role in addictive behavior. Then I explained the importance of how an individual can get help for their addictive behaviors by getting involved with the 12-step recovery program. Unfortunately, one addict dies approximately every 15 minutes. This transpires to 96 people a day just not dying from drug addiction. Although it may seem like there's no hope for someone that is caught up in the grip of addiction, what has been told to me is that as long as there is still breath in the person's lungs, there's always hope. The 12-step recovery programs offer that hope to anyone with the desire to stop acting out on their obsession and would like to find a new way to live. Therefore, if you know someone that is struggling with an addictive behavior, I hope this information helps you to inform them that they are not alone and that there are alternatives for them to get help through a 12-step recovery program.